What's going on YouTube? My name is Nick Cheadle. Welcome back to the channel. We are back today with another best dumbbell exercises video. We are talking about the triceps today. Now the intention of today's video is not to take a piss and give you a bunch of ridiculous exercises that you want to throw around when you're on holiday. It's more to give you a good opportunity to sub out anything that you might normally have in your program with something that will drive adequate volume through the target muscle so that you can essentially get back on a program as soon as possible without having felt like you've taken any time off. Now these are the exercises that I would consider the best in driving the most amount of adequate volume and tension through the target muscle. Now the biggest challenge with using only dumbbells is that typically we need more load and we need to find ways to create more tension. Not having access to things like barbells, machine-based work, and cables means that we need to find alternatives for those specific things. So keeping that in mind, these are the exercises that are likely to give you the largest amount of load with the most amount of stability required to give you a more complete workout, given the limitations placed upon us by only having access to dumbbells. We're kicking things off with a compound movement. For those of you that don't know, compound movements are exercises that incorporate movement at more than one joint. So you'll see here, we've got movement at the elbow and the shoulder joint. Now, typically speaking, the advantage of these exercises is that we can lift more load. And that means for this exercise, we're actually going to be able to run more total load and hence volume through the target muscle of the triceps. You'll see that my elbows are tucked nice and tight by my side, and I'm incorporating a slower, more controlled eccentric portion of the lift. There's stacks of research out there that suggests slower eccentrics actually contribute to far more muscle damage and hence growth than a faster negative portion of the lift. From there, more explosive on the contraction, and at the time, I'm also driving my feet into the ground with a slight arch in my lower back to ensure my shoulders are in a healthy position and I have plenty of tension throughout the entire body as I press. Next up, we got one of my favorite dumbbell exercises for the triceps. I'd probably be performing this exercise whether or not I have access to any other equipment in the gym as well. It is one of my absolute staples. So you'll see here my elbows are in a fixed position. Again, we've got that controlled eccentric portion of the lift before a more explosive concentric contraction on the way back up. My elbows are tucked. Again, I'm trying not to allow them to flare out too wide on the side, and you'll see that I'm bringing the dumbbells all the way down to my shoulders to try and incorporate the largest range of motion possible in an effort to put my triceps under as much stress and as much tension as possible. Next up, we have an overhead dumbbell tricep press. Now, because of the way that the dumbbell is overhead, this is actually going to allow us to better target the long head of the tricep because our triceps are going to be in a more stretched position throughout the duration of this movement. Again, the idea is to keep our elbows tucked or as close to our head as possible. That's really going to depend on the amount of shoulder mobility that you have. You'll see I've got a little bit of space between my head and my elbows, but ideally keep those elbows as close to your head as possible. Again, we're going for that controlled eccentric to allow greater muscle damage before an explosive contraction. And you'll see here that I'm not quite locking out of the top in an effort to keep more tension on my triceps throughout the range of motion. What locking out does essentially is take any tension off the muscle and place it through the joint. So by not locking out fully, I'm able to better hit my tricep for the duration of the whole set. We're going to finish off with a bit of a burner, a 10 to 20 rep effort on the tricep kickback. Now, this is a pretty tough exercise to perform correctly, so make sure you don't select a weight that's too heavy, because at the end of the day, we want to try and keep our elbow as still as possible, and if that weight is too heavy, we're really going to have a tough time locking this one out and getting a really good squeeze and contraction at the top of the range of motion. My shoulders and my elbows are as still as they possibly can be, and I am really focusing on extension at the elbow joint. Okay, so keep in mind while some of these exercises are super effective, there might be better ways to go about things if you do have access to the normal gym that you would normally train at or other equipment outside of dumbbells. These are certainly going to give you a great workout when maybe you're away from home or you're on holiday or traveling and training at a gym that you wouldn't normally be at that has limited access to equipment. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comment section if there is anything else that you would like for me to tackle in the coming weeks. But until then, I'll see you next week.